Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the Sacred Roots podcast for this episode where we are going to speak about trust and what trust actually is. So, before we dive into all of that, I want you to know that all of this is coming from a person who used to be a real control freak. I'm laughing now, but it's true. You should have seen me 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. I was so controlling because it served me really well. It served me really well to over plan, over schedule, over control everything. And it came because I did not feel safe in my life and because I hadn't learned to trust myself. And the way that you're going to trust life and trust the process is a reflection of how much you're going to trust yourself. And I'm seeing a really big confusion out there in the spiritual community and within women of my audience is that there's trust on one side and then there's action on the other. And maybe this is you. Maybe you've already said that at some point in your life or in your business of like, no, it's okay. I trust the process. I'm not taking action. I trust the process. And so there's this misunderstanding that then if you're taking action, you're trying to control the process. And that then in order to trust, then you don't have to take action. And I understand where it comes from, but this is not what trust is. True trust comes from a knowing that everything is going to unfold for the highest good. True trust means not being attached to the outcome. So, as you can see, this has nothing to do with action, right? And so you can absolutely take action and trust. I actually recommend you to do that. Now, you have to get honest with yourself as well. Am I taking action from a place of, I'm afraid that if I don't, it's not going to happen? Then you're not trusting. Let's take a very concrete example. In your own business, if you have a launch coming up, or you're publishing a book, or you're starting a new project, and you're taking so many actions, is it coming from a place of, I'm afraid that if I don't show up at social media, don't send these emails, don't do these things, I'm not going to do the sale, or I'm not going to do this and this and this, it's not going to happen the way I want? Or am I taking the action because I'm moving from a place of vision, from a place of, I know what I want to create. I know what this is meant to be. I know how big this project is meant to become. So I'm taking action from my vision, not from fear. And this is the core of all of this, is that on the opposite spectrum of trust, it's not action, it's fear. So when you take action from a place of fear, the result that you're going to get is that fear. Because that's the energy that you're putting out into the world. And the things that we fear always come back to us. They always end up happening. Because your soul couldn't care less about the results that you get. She gets about your expansion, your growth. And if you're afraid of something, life is going to shed a light on it so that you can experience it, survive it, and not be afraid of it. Because everywhere in your life where there's fear, there's no space for love. And your soul came here to experience greater love. So you see how we're speaking about launches and money and selling, and we always come back to love and soul and growth. And I love it because, yes, your soul and the divine is using your business as a portal for your expansion. And I always say entrepreneurship is the highway of soul growth. You're going much faster than anyone else because you are facing all your demons. You know, other people have said it in their own way, like doing launches is, personal development on cracks because you're seeing so much of who you are. You're being shown, at least. And so trust is really not about certainty. It's about really building this intimate relationship with the unknown. And it's about dancing with the unknown. Because fear and faith both require you to believe into something that doesn't exist yet, that you don't know about. Fear and faith both require you to step into the unknown. But they are two very different energies that are going to weave and create very different results. So choose wisely, because essentially it's the same energy. Opposites always are the same coin, just, different ways to look at it. That's the law of polarity, one of the laws that governs our world. And so if you choose to move from a place of fear in your business, in your life, chances are you're going to create that thing that you're afraid of, or smaller results, or something that is going to give you a teaching about this fear. But if you move from a place of faith, from a place of trusting that no matter what happens, it's going to unfold for your highest good, because you're either going to receive what you want or you're going to receive what you need, which is a lesson to step into greater expression, greater embodiment, greater frequency, so that you can have what you want. Life is always going to give you what you want or what you need in order to get to what you want. And so many women entrepreneurs get stuck into, my launch didn't work, I didn't get what I want, I'm not cut out for this, I'm never going to experience this, I'm never meant to have this in my life. No, this is not the message. This obstacle that you're facing right now, it's life trying to teach you what you need to learn so that you can have what you want. The answer of the universe is always yes, or yes, but not now. The answer is never no. You can absolutely have everything that you desire, just maybe not when you want it, because you need to be ready for it first. Life is not going to give you something that you're not ready for energetically. You might think consciously that you're ready for it, that you want that big launch, that you want that amount of money, that you want that big house. But the unseen, your spirit guides, the universe, Father, Mother, God, knows better and loves you more than you know. And so it's going to give you what you can handle and what you need so that you can ready to have what you want. So it might feel uncomfortable, but it's a blessing. It's a gift. It's a teaching. It's an expansion. It's a lesson to step into the version of you that can have it and hold it and keep it, that thing that you desire. So how can you really move from that place of faith and trust? Well, understand that when you move from a place of fear, from attachment, from control, from taking actions so that you are sure that it's going to unfold in the way that you want, you are actually blocking the energy from moving. Really see it as there's this beautiful flow of energy that is constantly moving towards you, wanting to send you what you've asked for, wanting to send you money, wanting to send you the right people, wanting to send you clients, the right opportunities. It's constantly flowing through you. But if you're attached, it's like you're grabbing on to that pipe of flow of abundance and success, and you're blocking that flow. It's not flowing anymore. It's closed off. It's another image that you could see is like there's this beautiful river of all the things that you desire that wants to come into your life. Every fear and attachment that you have is a little pebble in the river that is going to block that flow. If there are so many pebbles or a fear that is so big, it's going to block the whole river. But if you trust, if you're detached, if you surrender to the process, you still take action, but from a place of surrendering and trusting, that's going to remove all those pebbles and allow whatever needs to come into your life to come. So how do you trust? This has to be embodied trust, because the universe reads your frequency, not what you're telling yourself. If you're telling yourself, it's okay, I'm trusting the process, I don't care, but you're not doing what it requires, or you're actually freezing and you're stuck at home and you're paralyzed because you're afraid, but you're telling yourself that you're trusting, so you're just going for walks and having fun, but the truth is that you're freaking out. Guess what experience you're going to have? The universe, the unseen, is going to respond to your internal chaos, to your freak out, not this pretend peace that you're telling yourself you're in. So how do you know your trust is embodied? That's when you're fully detached. And how do you know you're fully detached? When you're at peace with the worst case scenario. Yes, my love, you're going to go there. You're going to face your fears. You're going to face the darkness. You're going to face the uncomfortable, because when you're not afraid of the uncomfortable, when you're at peace with the worst case scenario, when you create a plan of like, okay, if this worst case scenario really happens, then I'm going to face it like this, this, this. If you already set a few things into place so that it doesn't happen, if you focus your energy on other things so that you don't have time and space to worry about the worst case scenario or about this launch or about anything else, that's when you're detached. That's when the flow of life can move in your direction. So again, it's really about shedding a light on your darkness, on your fears, on your wounds that might push you to control yourself. And in the end, facing your worst case scenario, it's about helping you see that even when the scenario that feels like the end of the world unfolds, you have the resources to face it. This creates a greater trust in yourself. This helps you see that you have everything you need within, that you have the resources, the wisdom, the power to move through the worst case scenario. So many times in my life, whether it's in my business or in my relationships, I was afraid of the worst case scenario. I was so afraid I wouldn't even look at it. I would put all my energy on, it has to work, it has to work, it has to work. I'm doing everything I can to make it work, because if this launch doesn't work, then it's a drama. I don't have money. And of course, then the launch didn't work. 0 signups. Happens to the best of us, right? And then I was in that worst case scenario and I was like, oh, it's not that bad actually. I was more afraid of the fall and getting there. And then boom, once I've hit rock bottom, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm having a bit of an ego death here, but I'm okay. I'm still alive. Oh wait, I still have love in my life. I still have a roof. I can still breathe. I still have my 2 feet. The sun is still shining. I can still go for a walk and enjoy the beautiful rivers here. I'm okay. So our minds are often going to make it much bigger than what it actually is. And so if you can actually face this worst case scenario, you're going to dissolve the fear. And I always say to my clients, and I also speak about that in my book, The Path of Femininity, today is your worst case scenario. Now, what do I really mean by that? Well, whatever happens in the future, whatever happens with your launches, whatever happens with your relationships, whatever happens with your health, today is your worst case scenario because it can only get better than what it is now. You can always come back to this situation where you're at now in the future because you've already done it. Because you already are this version of you that created this reality. Because you have the skills, the wisdom, the strength to create this. You did it already. So if you have to do it again because everything collapses for a certain reason, which is always what we imagine in our worst case scenarios, right? Well, you'll come back to this, and guess what? You'll come back much faster. It won't take you as much time because you've already done it and you've learned so much along the way, right? So today is your worst case scenario. Tomorrow can only get better because you're growing and expanding and learning to hold more joy, more pleasure, more success, more wealth, more power. Every single day, you're learning that. So face your fears. Really sit with them. Sit with the worst case scenario. What would you do in that situation? Process the fear. And then move from a place of trust. Not by not taking action. Take the aligned action. So how can you take the aligned action? By, I'm sure you're saying it out loud now, following your intuition. Yes. Trust what that little voice is telling you. And I also find that trust really comes with practice. It's a muscle. The first time it's going to feel weird because you have all these voices in your head of self-doubt and of control, because these were the mechanisms that you were using or that you've learned to use to stay safe. And so at the beginning, it's going to feel a little wobbly. But as you practice this, as you take action and trust and see a positive result, it's going to reinforce this self-confidence, this self-trust, this knowing that you have everything it takes within, and that if you do a mistake or if that you were wrong, it's okay. You have everything you have everything you need to face it. And if it's going in the right direction, amazing. It's just going to strengthen your inner power and inner knowing. So if you want to strengthen your trust, if you want to create more abundance and success in your life by really letting go of the fears, letting go of the control wounds that are all very much connected to the wounded feminine, I really recommend that you watch my free training that is in the show notes of this episode, because in this free training, yes, I'm teaching you about how to move away from hustle into ease, but it's much more than just hustle in your business. It's about coming into soul alignment. It's about coming back to that flow of life that is always guiding you, that is always showing you the way towards your highest expression, your highest truth, your highest purpose, where you're going to find the most joy, the most fulfillment, the most abundance, and make the impact that you came here to make. Fulfill your soul contracts, your soul mission. And so right now, if you're hustling, if you're finding that you're stuck in your life, if you're finding that you have to push, if you're finding that you're controlling, these are all signs that you're not really in alignment, that you're not living your highest truth, higher purpose in your highest expression yet. And ease is the result of that. And so you'll experience that effortlessness when you are in that flow and full alignment with your mission, the divine, and your soul. And so this is what I teach about in this free training that you'll find the link in the show notes of this episode. So I highly, highly recommend that you watch it if you want more ease, more abundance, more soul alignment in your business. I share so many insightful things. We speak about the book a little bit, but we go so much deeper in this free training. You're really going to have a super actionable plan that you can apply to your life and to your business as soon as you stop watching the training. So I will see you in there if you're ready for more. Much love.